The Giza Plateau, the Sphinx, 3 pyramids rising from the sand like time's own teeth.
The Great Pyramid is a testament to ancient Egyptians' ingenuity, acumen, and technical and scientific prowess.
We've seen the pictures, memorized the angles, but what if that picture is incomplete? What if there was once a 4th?
Could there be another pyramid lost to history?
Not just another satellite tomb or crumbling ruin, but a true pyramid, taller than most, darker than all, built from black stone, harder than granite.
This is amazing. It makes everything so clear.
Unfamiliar, out of place. And what if it vanished? Some say it never existed. Others say it was destroyed.
I think this investigation of the Lost Pyramid Djedefre is a fascinating example of how much there is still to know about Egypt by taking a closer look, and suddenly we find so much more there.
But old maps tell a different story. So do the travelers who saw it with their own eyes and drew it before the world forgot. If they were right, everything would change. The Danish prodigy who changed everything. His name was Frederick Norden, a boy from Denmark, born into a military family, quiet, gifted, obsessed with precision. By 14, he had already entered the Danish Naval Academy, where his drawings of ships, maps, and fortresses earned the attention of the king himself, not for their beauty, but for their clarity, their honesty, their truth. By 1737, Norden was no longer just a naval cadet. He had become the king's trusted observer, tasked with documenting lands few Europeans had ever seen. That year, he joined a royal expedition through Egypt, heading south toward the mysterious kingdoms of Ethiopia and Sudan. He was to study, map, and report, not as a tourist, as a witness. The expedition didn't go as planned. Plagued by storms and broken ships, the journey stalled in Egypt. Others despaired. Norden, however, got to work. With nothing but time and paper, he began to draw. What he created wasn't just art, it was a record. Page after page, people, markets, hieroglyphs, temples, tombs, monuments, and then the Giza Plateau. He described it carefully, measured it, sketched it, and when he reached the pyramids, he wrote something curious. "There are 4 of them," he said. "Not 3, 4. Norden wasn't vague. He didn't confuse it with the smaller satellite pyramids, which he noted separately. He described this 4th structure as lower than the 3rd pyramid, but still massive, made of blacker stone, harder than normal granite, without a temple like the first, but bearing one distinct feature: a single, large stone at its peak, a pedestal, he said. He even noted its position west of the others, set apart, not random, but deliberate. Why would Norden lie or hallucinate? He had nothing to gain. His works, compiled into Voyage d'Égypte et de Nubie, would later earn him a seat in the Royal Society of London. He was no fool, and his drawings, they're still here, unchanged, quietly waiting for someone to ask what they show. He saw something, and he wasn't alone. A second witness, Cornelis de Bruijn. More than 40 years before Norden set foot in Egypt, another traveler had already walked the same sands. Cornelis de Bruijn, a Dutch artist, a wanderer. In 1674, de Bruijn began his first long journey, from Europe to the Middle East and beyond. He wasn't a soldier or a spy, he was a chronicler of the strange, a painter of the unfamiliar. And by the time he returned to Europe, his journals and sketches would shake the old world's image of the East. His book, Travels in the Principal Parts of Asia Minor, was a sensation, full of sights no European had ever drawn firsthand. Palm trees swaying above temple ruins, market stalls lit by oil lanterns, ancient languages carved into stone, and there, in the heart of Egypt, 4 pyramids on the Giza Plateau. Not 3, 4. It's there in ink, in his hand. The same layout Norden would later describe. The same separation of one pyramid from the main trio. The same suggestion that something was different. De Bruyne was meticulous. His depictions of the Sphinx were among the first to capture its erosion, its broken nose, its weathered gaze. He wasn't making guesses. He was seeing and recording. So now we have two men, decades apart, from different countries, different missions, same location, same story. And still, modern archaeology dismisses them both. Why? Because the fourth pyramid isn't there anymore? Because today we only see three, and to accept their version would mean accepting a loss we can't explain, a structure that vanished, a truth erased. But history doesn't always wait for permission. Sometimes it's found in the margins, in the sketches of men who saw what we weren't ready to believe. A wall with no purpose. Just south of the Sphinx, near where tourists stop for photos and camels rest in the heat, lies something that almost no one notices. A wall, not a small one, not a fence, but a monolithic stone structure, known to few as the Wall of the Crow. It stretches over 650 feet long, 30 feet high, 30 feet thick, made from massive limestone blocks, each weighing tons, ancient, silent, forgotten, and no one knows why it's there. Some archaeologists have proposed theories. Perhaps it was a barrier to hold back floodwaters from the Nile, or the edge of a lost city. But those ideas fall apart under scrutiny. The wall doesn't extend past the end of the pyramid complex. It stops abruptly where it should continue, if it were really a protective wall. There's another theory, one almost whispered. What if it wasn't a wall at all? What if it were a causeway? Like the known causeways that link each of the three pyramids to the Nile, ceremonial roads for processions, offerings, and rituals. Each existing pyramid has one, and the Wall of the Crow points in a direction that matches none of them. It points west, into the desert, toward nothing. But what if it once led somewhere? More precisely, what if it led to something? Look again at Norden's maps. Look again at De Bruyne's drawings. Both place the fourth pyramid west of the others, out of line, set apart. And the Wall of the Crow, it goes exactly there. Could it be that it was once the causeway of the lost fourth pyramid? A black pyramid, a pedestal on top, a vanished monument, and a road that still remembers where it stood. What happened to the fourth pyramid? Let's say it existed. Let's say Norden and De Bruyne didn't lie. That their sketches weren't mistakes. That the Wall of the Crow wasn't just a wall. Then what happened? Why don't we see it today? Some say it was destroyed, taken apart stone by stone in the 1700s or 1800s. The materials were carted away to build the growing city of Cairo. Others say it collapsed and was swallowed by sand, its black stones buried under centuries of dust. Both are possible, but neither explains why its existence was scrubbed from modern records. Why do textbooks, tour guides, and even Egyptologists treat it like a fairy tale? Why two respected historical figures were all but erased from the narrative? To remove a pyramid is not a small thing. To forget it, even less so. Maybe it was never forgotten, just hidden. The sands of Egypt are not just sand. They are layers, eras, secrets. In 2020, a major excavation near Luxor uncovered a massive ancient city buried just beneath the surface. Perfectly preserved, complete with walls, rooms, and tools. No one knew it was there, not until someone finally looked. So how many other things are hiding? The Giza Plateau is vast. Much of it is off-limits, guarded, fenced. Even off the satellite maps in certain areas, we like to think we've explored it fully. But we haven't, and maybe that's the point. Maybe the fourth pyramid didn't vanish at all. Maybe it's still there, waiting. The lost Golden City and other recent revelations. In the spring of 2020, the desert near Luxor stirred. A group of archaeologists, brushing aside wind-swept grains beneath the gaze of the Theban cliffs, uncovered something extraordinary. A city, not a ruin, not a pile of stone and bone. A city, Walls still standing. The doorways are still intact. Rooms filled with tools, pottery, jewelry. The echoes of daily life, frozen in time. They called it the Lost Golden City. No texts had mentioned it. No locals knew it existed. It had remained untouched for over 3,000 years, hidden by only a thin veil of earth and silence. And yet, no one had found it until now. It was a wake-up call, a quiet, humbling reminder. We don't know as much as we think we do. How many other lost places are still sleeping? What if the fourth pyramid, black and peculiar, isn't gone, but simply waiting for the right eyes and hands to unbury it? When you walk in the desert, you walk on top of history. Cities, roads, statues, tombs. Some are barely below the surface, others deep beneath centuries of shifting dunes. Some we find by chance, others we overlook because we assume they're not there. The Lost Golden City shattered that assumption. And it proved one thing: in Egypt, nothing should be dismissed, not even forgotten pyramids.
Now first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you.
Satellite archaeology. Eyes in the sky. Once, explorers used maps drawn from memory. They followed legends and chased rumors. Sometimes they found nothing. Sometimes they found miracles. Today, we have satellites. High above, eyes orbit the Earth, scanning for anomalies, changes in soil, outlines of foundations, thermal shifts. They see things we cannot. Shadows beneath the surface. Grids where none should be. Whole cities are veiled in sand. In just the first 10 years of the 21st century, satellite imaging helped identify over 3,000 previously unknown sites across Egypt. Temples, homes, burial grounds, entire lost settlements. In 2008, 2 pyramids were buried just 25 feet below the sand at Saqqara, only 15 miles from Giza. These pyramids had eluded discovery for centuries, not because they were hidden well, but because no one thought to look. Now consider this: if 2 massive structures could remain hidden so close to Giza, how likely is it that a 4th pyramid, built from darker stone and standing slightly apart, could vanish beneath the same sands? Very likely, especially if someone wanted it that way. What we see today on the Giza Plateau might not be what was always there, and satellite archaeology is beginning to show just how blind we've been. Ancient myths proven true. In ancient temples across Egypt, there are carvings of a place called Punt, a distant land of riches, of incense, gold, and rare animals. Pharaohs spoke of great sea voyages to this mysterious kingdom. For centuries, scholars scoffed. Punt, they said, was a myth, a metaphor. Egypt's people were desert dwellers, not sailors. Then came 2011. On a remote stretch of the Red Sea coast, archaeologists uncovered the remains of an ancient harbor. Wooden ships, ropes, sails, storage jars, and most telling of all, inscriptions. Descriptions of expeditions to Punt, names of sailors, records of cargo. Suddenly, Punt wasn't a myth anymore. It was a memory, real, confirmed. And it wasn't the only one. In the 19th century, the Greek historian Herodotus described a vast underground labyrinth he claimed to have visited, a structure so complex, so sprawling, that he said it rivaled the pyramids themselves. His account was dismissed for centuries, until 2008, when a team using ground-penetrating radar scanned beneath the desert at Hawara. What they found matched Herodotus's story: massive chambers beneath the earth, arranged in perfect grid lines. And yet, the results were never officially published. Access was cut off. The site sealed. Why? Why silence the discovery of a structure that matches an ancient account so precisely, unless something within it matters? Unless the myths aren't myths at all. Technology and the ancient Egyptians. The further we peer into ancient Egypt, the more advanced it begins to seem. Some carvings resemble modern light bulbs, reliefs that show objects looking eerily like helicopters, tanks, and even aircraft. For decades, these were dismissed as coincidence or symbolic abstraction. Then came the strange testimonies. The 4th century Syrian philosopher Iamblichus spoke of entering the Great Pyramid and finding a tube, thin, tall, metallic, glowing from within. A light source, one that vanished when touched. He was no storyteller. He was a mathematician, a thinker. Others described chambers that lit themselves without fire, polished walls with no soot, hidden mechanisms humming softly beneath the stone. And now, we have modern confirmation. In 2018, a scientific study published in the Journal of Applied Physics revealed that the Great Pyramid of Giza can concentrate electromagnetic energy within its chambers and base. It wasn't built randomly. Its structure, angles, and materials all perfect for manipulating energy. Electricity? Resonance? Something else? If we accept that the Great Pyramid might not be just a tomb, but a machine, what was its purpose? And more curiously, was the missing 4th pyramid part of this system? The Black Pyramid and its lost pedestal. Let's return to what Norden wrote. The 4th pyramid, he said, was made from a blacker stone, harder than granite. No temple beside it, but at its summit, a single massive stone, like a pedestal. This is not typical. Egyptian pyramids were built from limestone and sandstone. Even the granite used was usually a dull gray. Black stone, especially black granite, was rare and symbolic. In ancient Egypt, black wasn't the color of death. It was the color of renewal, of rebirth, the color of the Nile's rich soil after flooding, the underworld, the journey through darkness before the sun rose again. Black granite was used in sarcophagi, in protective statues. Magical objects are meant to endure. So why build a whole pyramid from it? Unless it wasn't just a monument, but a machine of renewal, a spiritual tool, a gate, a generator. And the pedestal? What once sat upon it? Something powerful, something bright, maybe something that hummed with energy, a capstone like no other, a light source, a beacon, a transmitter. And if it existed, where is it now? Still buried? Or taken? And if it powered something once, if it meant something once, what stopped when it disappeared? A whisper beneath the sand. The desert doesn't forget. It conceals. It softens. It waits. But beneath the silence and sun, things endure. We were taught that Giza holds 3 great pyramids, that nothing else of true significance ever stood beside them. That's what we see today is all there ever was. But what if that story was shaped for convenience? What if the truth didn't vanish? It was buried. The drawings from Frederick Norden and Cornelis de Bruyn weren't wild speculation. They were first-hand accounts from men trained in detail, known for accuracy. Their reputations were built on truth, and both drew 4, not 3. 4. Add to that the mystery of the Wall of the Crow, a road to nowhere that aligns too precisely with the supposed location of that 4th pyramid. Combine it with modern discoveries, ancient cities uncovered just beneath the surface, hidden harbors confirming old myths, underground labyrinths matching Greek accounts, and a pattern begins to form. What if the Black Pyramid didn't disappear? What if it was hidden, intentionally? Perhaps because of what it contained, or what it could still do. Maybe it was too powerful. Maybe it was never meant for modern eyes. The sands of Giza still guard secrets, secrets that hum beneath stone and heat. And every so often, they rise, a carving, a tunnel, a forgotten city, reminding us that Egypt's story is far from finished. Some say the truth is lost with time. But in Egypt, truth just sleeps. And when it wakes, the world may need to reconsider what it thought it knew. Because if the fourth pyramid was real, then the very ground beneath our feet is a lie. The edge of a forgotten age. All stories begin somewhere, but not all stories are allowed to end. Ancient Egypt has always held a mirror to our fears and dreams, a civilization obsessed with death, but only because it believed so fiercely in life after it, in power, in transformation, in cycles that never truly stop. So what if the fourth pyramid was never just another tomb? What if it was part of something bigger, a system, a design, a message? Consider what modern science is beginning to whisper, that the Great Pyramid is not only mathematically perfect, but engineered in a way that interacts with electromagnetic fields, that it resonates. It focuses energy. Then remember Norden's description that the fourth pyramid was darker, harder, and topped with a pedestal. Could it have been the missing link? A companion structure designed to work with the others? 3 pyramids form a line, but 4 form a pattern, a circuit, a key. And maybe that's why it was hidden, or removed, or silenced. Not because it didn't matter, but because it did. We live in a world that rushes to bury the inconvenient. But stone has memories. And the desert does not erase, it preserves. So perhaps the fourth pyramid is still out there, buried but unbroken. And perhaps we are standing at the edge of rediscovery, a moment in history when myth becomes truth, and truth becomes responsibility. Because if what lies beneath the Giza Plateau is more than stone, then uncovering it is not just about history. It's about us, about what we're ready to know, and what we're still afraid to see. The sands of Egypt hold more than ruins. They hold silence. They hold secrets. A vanished pyramid. A wall that leads nowhere. Ancient myths rising like breath from the desert. Again and again, what was once dismissed becomes real. But we don't ask why it was buried, or who decided to forget. Maybe we're not just uncovering history. We're uncovering a warning. Something ancient, something powerful, something unfinished. The Giza Plateau isn't complete. It never was. And if a fourth pyramid once stood there, it's not just a missing monument. It's a missing truth. One that may change everything when it's found.